Hello there and welcome to this workshop or course on data cleaning with Excel. My name is Valentine and I'll be your instructor. In this course or in this workshop, we are going to take the following structure. So we're going to get started learning about the learning experience of the course. After that, we'll get to talk about generally what it entails to perform data cleaning with Excel and why we would want to perform the related concepts. After that, we'll just go through a practice session where we get to go through those concepts, those data cleaning concepts with Excel, and apply them in a real world data set. And then later, towards the very end, we'll talk about the next steps. So yeah, so let's get started. By the end of today, we expected to have achieved these learning outcomes. So we should be able to recognize common data quality issues in datasets. We should also be able to explain various data cleaning techniques and their applications. We should also be able to use the various Excel tools to clean and pre-process data. We should also be able to evaluate the effectiveness of different data cleaning methods in improving data quality. So by the end of this learning experience, we should be able to say that we have achieved these learning outcomes. What is data cleaning with Excel? This is just a process that entails identifying and correcting inaccuracies, inconsistencies, and errors in a data set to ensure that the data is accurate, complete, and ready for analysis. If we don't clean our data, then we would end up having a data set that would be unreliable, and our decisions, or the decisions that stakeholders use based on that data set that's not clean, would be a decision that would not benefit whether it's the organization or even those stakeholders. Yeah, so a few just techniques to mention pertaining to data cleaning that we can undertake includes just being able to ensure that the column names that we are working with in the data set that we have are cleaned. It could mean maybe having all of them just having the same format. You could have column names which have lowercase characters, or column names which just have the first character capitalized, etc. Just column names that are easy to work with and identify the data that is within the respective column. We could end up performing or correcting inconsistent data. So you might realize maybe a certain column contains data that is not consistent with other units within the data set that you're working with. Maybe you're working with data, numerical data that follows some sort of metric system, but then in one of the column names you might have a different type of system where maybe you have weight in pounds, so you need to convert that into kgs to make it be now consistent with the rest of the data in metric system. You might want also to remove unnecessary data, so just dropping columns that you might not need maybe for your research question. And even also convert data types. Maybe in some column names you have data stored in the form of text instead of numbers format, because or currency format, and you need to just ensure that that data is in the right format for further analysis. So yeah, so those are just a few. We'll talk about a large number of them. We'll get to practice, and we've provided a guideline document that gives you an idea of those techniques, and we will be performing them and checking them after each and every once we've performed those techniques, we'll be checking them and ensuring that we have applied them in our data set. A good example where data cleaning with Excel might be, might come in handy might be assuming we are working in the healthcare industry, whether it's a data analyst or health data scientist, and we are not working with a large data set, just a small data set, then what we can do is just basically perform a data cleaning technique that involves just standardization of those records by either removing duplicate records, could correct maybe some inconsistent formats, as mentioned. Maybe if you have data presented in a different format than what you would call being standard. And you could also maybe fill in some missing information to ensure just that you have accurate patient data that can help in analysis and also in reporting. So that's a quick overview in terms of importance of data cleaning generally to organizations. Once you perform data cleaning, you're able to eliminate errors and inaccuracies, and that ensures analysis and decisions that come after are actually based on correct data. You're also able to streamline data processing tasks, so you are able to help yourself maybe in the future be able to reduce the time spent on manual corrections or rework on that data. So you could even share that data set to someone else who would immediately get started with analysis, whether it's data visualization or analysis, rather than them then again starting from scratch to clean the data that you have. You would also be able to still, as an importance to organizations, be able to provide reliable data that leads to well-informed and effective decisions. And you would also be able to contribute to having data following industry standards and regulatory requirements. You would be also in a position to have reduced the cost associated with errors, as well as have facilitated smoother integration of data. Because in some cases, the data that you clean might end up maybe in another data source. It could be that another stakeholder might use it in maybe MySQL database or some other database. So once you have given it to someone else, or once you have cleaned it and stored it in another database, then it actually stands to be data that can be readily used for analysis with ease. When it comes to limitations, of course, with Excel, there are benefits because Excel is usually an entry point for data analysis, and it can handle just basic data analysis work quickly. But when it comes to limitations, if you're using Excel, there are a few. It's worth just noting. But again, it's not that we are so much focused on that side, but you can always note that in such a situation, then you'd have to use other tools like Python. But for our case, these are some of the limitations of Excel, data cleaning with Excel. You might struggle when handling very large data sets if you want to perform data cleaning. The process of data cleaning with Excel, it's manual, so you have to use the tools that you have, drag and drop. So if you have similar data sets, you may not be able to clean them, automate that work quickly. So because you also do lack some advanced automation capabilities, like the idea of having functions and applying them to just columns is not there. Well, you could still use them, but with tools like Python, you're able to quickly be able to perform those tasks efficiently. And with Excel, you also have the limited capability to connect to a large number of multiple data sets, assuming that you have maybe a MongoDB data set, data source or data set. You also have a data set coming from maybe a SQL database such as Postgres, and another one coming from maybe another maybe graph database. Then Excel has some limitations over a tool like Python, which provides various libraries for just integration of data from multiple sources. A quick overview of how probably some steps you might take when it comes to cleaning data. So you might start by, which is actually what we have outlined in our guidelines document, but under each and every point you have just multiple data cleaning techniques. You might start by just simply importing the data to work with. Then you'll create a backup copy of that data, maybe in a separate workbook or sheet. Then you ensure that data is in a tabular format of rows and columns. You fix any formatting issues. Then you make sure the information is in the cell that it's meant to be in. And then you just fix maybe spelling mistakes. You could also perform, you remove duplicates. You could also decide to handle missing values as well as outliers with other tools like filter. So this is just a workflow example, and once you have finished this process, you can then use that data for analysis. So yeah, so that's generally what data cleaning with Excel entails from a theoretical perspective. The next thing that we are going to do now is to ask you to visit the link in the description. So if you click on the resources link, you should end up on a page that looks like this. And you should be able to download the resources, the sample resource that we are going to be using. If you're an Afterwork member, there will be a practice resource that contains also a challenge that you can get to work on after. But if you are here to just visit and get to learn a bit about this topic, then we still have a sample practice resource that you can use to go through the concepts that we're going to be going through. So click on that sample practice resource link, and it should take you to a PDF that looks just like this. And then you should be able to click on the dataset that we're going to use. So click on this dataset. It should download the dataset locally. And then you should also click on the guidelines document, which should redirect you to this document that contains the guidelines that we're going to be using for data cleaning. We will be using Excel online. We won't be using a local installation, but you can still use it. The only difference is that you might have a different version of Excel than what I would be using, and the reason would be for standardization. If we use Excel online, everyone gets to use the same version of Excel, and you're able to go through the workshop easily. And also Excel online is up to date with the latest version of Excel. There are, of course, limitations. However, concepts that you're going to be learning pertaining to data cleaning with Excel will be still the same. So yeah, so there's also a second link. Aside from the resources link, there's a second link for OneDrive, which is a Google Drive alternative that you can use. It's provided by Microsoft. And once you have clicked on OneDrive and you've signed in, it's free to use. It's a free service by Microsoft, but you need to sign up. And once you've signed in, use your personal account, you should arrive to this particular page that looks like this. And you can be able now to create a Google Drive, not Google Drive. You can be able to create a document, whether it's Word document, Excel document, PowerPoint document online. So once you get here, you can just create a new folder by simply, or just not even create, you can just use what you have here. Documents, you can go inside documents or any new folder, or to create a new folder, you need to go at the very top, add new, and add new folder. But for our case, we can just click documents and also create a new, add a new folder. You can say data cleaning. With Excel. If you need some time to follow through what we are doing, what you can do is to pause the stream or pause the video, perform that task, and then follow along through. That way you have some good some good, you're able to get the skill that we are working on. So let me even just zoom out a bit because Excel will be a bit bigger. So yeah, so this is what you should be able, so that you can go inside data cleaning. Then we are going to upload our file, the file that we have downloaded. That's the data set that we found in this document. So once you click here, it's the Titanic data set that will download. Then let's go inside. It's downloaded. Upload it by clicking on folder, then upload. You can create these other forms, these other types of documents, but let's upload this file. Downloads. Should take a second. Okay, here it is. Then you can just click on it and it should open a new tab that contains the file, the Excel file. And this is the this is just Excel Online. It's just just similar to the local version. But this is our data set, and we only have one worksheet from the very bottom. On the far right, just to be able to have a menu that looks like what we normally do in many versions. On the far right, you'll see this arrow over here that says Ribbon Display the Options. Click on that and click on Classic Ribbon. And you should have now the classic ribbon that we can use. So yeah, so we're going to perform data cleaning tasks on this particular document. All right, again, remember, always pause the video if you think we are too fast, and apply the same changes that we are going to be applying on, same techniques, so that we are all together. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit, how that will look. Okay, if I zoom in a bit more. Okay, that looks better. All right, so once we have gotten here, we'll just now use the guidelines to take us through. So the first thing that we need to do is to create a backup copy in a separate workbook or sheet. This way we can always refer to the original data set in case we make a mistake. And we are going to rename this new, the backup copy raw. So what we are going to do in this document, we're going to create a duplicate of this by right-clicking on the sheet and then clicking on duplicate. And then we are going to call this duplicate. So you can right-click or you can double-click on it. Right-click, rename it. We're going to call it raw. You can call it raw dataset, etc. So we are not going to be using this dataset for data cleaning, but in case we need to refer back to the original dataset, we can always go back to this raw worksheet. So let's click on Titanic. This is the one that we're going to be working with. All right, so we've actually done that. Then there's something else that we need to do. Ensure that you note down the steps you'll be taking when performing data cleaning. So what we are going also to be doing is to document the data cleaning steps. So in Excel, one can, perform so many different techniques pertaining to data cleaning, and the way you clean your data will be different from the way other people might clean data. They might make some maybe conversion somewhere, and it's important to note those details. So let's create a new sheet, and we are going to call it documentation. This is where we're going to have our data cleaning steps. You can just simply decide to inside the first row, you can just say documentation as the header, and we are going to be having our steps taken there. So you can just say the first step that we've taken created the original a copy of the original data set. All right, because sometimes if you don't do this, it might be confusing for some stakeholders. Some people might be wondering, okay, why am I getting different results from what you're also getting And if they look closely to in your analysis, they might realize, oh, you cleaned your data set differently than they did. So, all right, so that's good to go. So the next thing that we need to do is to ensure that the data is in a tabular format of rows and columns. So that would mean each column must have similar data. So all the information, let's say last names, color, date of birth, must be in their respective columns. This requires an understanding of what information is meant to be in each column. So let's check whether the data that we have for each column actually belongs to each column. So for the Titanic, we have last, this is last name, first name. We will rename them, don't worry about them. Actually, we can rename them right now. So this is last name, so last name. This is also first name. Gender. And we can see we have last name, first name, gender. This is not supposed to be here. It doesn't have any information, so we can always delete it by simply right clicking on that column, and clicking on delete columns. So just click on the very top letter D, just right click on it and just say delete columns. It's going to delete that column. We don't need it. If you're not sure, just to double check on whether there's any value. So if I click on a certain column, let's say this column E, when I click on it, at the very bottom, I will get some analysis about it. How many values there are, what's the average count, how many values, the sum of the values inside. If I click on B, I'll also get some count, like there are 899 values in that column. But if I click on D, I won't get anything. It would mean that I have no values in that column. So you can click on that and press delete on your keyboard, or just click on delete columns. All right. Let's do the same for class. So this is a bit confusing. Here we have values which are 40, and it says class. Class in this case for the Titanic, it should be the class, like the way you have first class, second class, third class. And when we look at age, we have actually the classes. So age is supposed to be here. We'll convert this into new, in number format. This is even in decimal places, which we shouldn't. So we need to rename them. We'll swap the name and the age and the class names, column names. So age, and this should be class. And we can just expand that a bit. This also, the font is also a bit different, because here you have size 10, here you have size 11 font size. But yeah, we'll sort that later. This is okay, this is fair. We can just rename it fair. And this is the location where the passenger embarked the Titanic. So the data set is about Titanic. It's a Titanic data set. So the passengers embarked on this location. So it's capital E. The font size is also different, is it? No, it's the same. H can check for any values, so it doesn't have, so we can delete that as well. And survived, this is also something else, so we need to change this to survived, capital S. The font size is also different. So yeah, we've updated column names, so we can just go to our documentation, just said maybe changed the case of the column names, and also you can use swapped, or interchanged, or just swapped age class and age column names. All right, awesome. So once we have done that, all columns and rows must be visible. So there's some columns which might not be visible. You can still resize, but you can resize them by just, you know, doing that. Or you could use other tools that allow you to do that. So sometimes you might just trying to look at how you can also define it. So you could take a column, then right click on it at the very top, then say column width, and then you change the value of the column width, maybe 20. That's 13. I can say 20, which is a bit bigger. I could just simply drag my columns. So, you know, I can go to the very edge and drop it. You know, but I could also decide to again do the same thing by simply right clicking on it, say column width, or I could let's just use just that, either in defaults, in units. It doesn't depend. I think it just works the way you want. So could maybe put 40 so that we have all names, but even 50 because some of the names but are not clearly visible. Yeah, so maybe have something like that. This is okay, this is okay, this is okay. This also seems to be okay. Same. Okay, so that was the second one. So we have all columns and rows must be visible. You can also note that down for resized columns, column width okay, so that's one bit. Then there should be no completely blank columns or rows within the data set. So let's sort that out. Let's go to the Titanic data set. So we have this column. So an easier way to do that, by the way, before we even get to do that, we need to freeze our column, the first row to be a header. So what you can be able to do to freeze, you can do so many things, but I think the easiest one is usually to go to review, should be view, at the very top, view. So on your menu, click on view to freeze the first record to be a header. Then you say just freeze this selection once you've clicked on it, or up to one row, which will just technically freeze the first column. So if you drag your mouse, the first row will be frozen. So we can also mention that 5 rows first or header row. So you can do that. You can also, once you have done that, you can also freeze the not just the rows, but also the columns if you have a lot of data on the right. So but now we want to remove the columns that are completely the rows that don't have any records that come in between. You have to see there's another one there, there's another one here. So what we can do is just arrange or sort the records in descending order or ascending order. So we can just simply, can even just go to home. Once you get to home, actually it's not home, it's usually on, just trying to get that on data. So you can go to data, then click on ascending or descending. Just sort, we just want to sort. Okay, no, we have to select everything, sorry. Select everything. Okay, so it has selected everything. So I think what we can do, so what we can do is to, yeah, so last name, just click on sort, ascending, just say expand and sort, and it should be able to sort the data set. So if you get to look at it, the records that did not have any missing, that had missing values for all of them, are all gone. But you could also do the same thing for descending, so that you look at the ones at the very bottom. So you can see we have up to the letter Z, to just confirm that. So we've sorted the records, and the last ones, the ones that had missing values, were just removed. So you can just record that, sorted records to remove rows with all missing values. All right, so once we have done that, we should be okay. There should be no completely blank columns, which we have. Of course, you'll find some missing values in some. Number 3, fix any formatting issues that apply to the data set. Let me even just zoom in a bit. So the next thing that we need to do is to fix formatting issues, so we can apply the same font and size. All right, let's go back. Got it. So we need to apply the same font size. So you can click home on the ribbon. So I'll click over here at the very top, this icon. So this icon over here, not even an icon, just at the very top, top left, where you see my cursor. Click on there to select everything in the worksheet. And what we're going to do is apply the same font. So it's Arial 10, which we have. And then we can use number 10 to select everything. Actually, this does not apply. It's not applying to that. So let's see, should be 10. Shrink, okay, no, I think it should be. But if it doesn't, you can always just click on each and every row and apply the change that you want. Like for this one, you can just change that to 10, and same case with the others. So you can change it to 10 as well. So the font size, font here is different. Is it Rockwell? Okay, this is different. Okay. Here we go. Okay. The other option that you might want to perform on, because that may not work as one might think. So what you would need to do to just apply the same font and also font size, you can just click on the first record, and then on your keyboard you can press control shift, then control shift, then the down arrow. So on your keyboard, to be able to select all the records. So click on the first cell, not the column 1, but the one that comes at A2. You can even just click on that, then on your keyboard, press Control Shift, then down arrow to select the first column values, then the right arrow to select all the column values, and then you can be able to apply the font that you want. Yeah, it's another option for being able to format that. Or alternatively, another thing that you might want to do, to go to the very top cell, you can just always click on Control Shift, shifts. Actually, the easiest way would be just on the name box over here, you can just type in A1, it should, or A2. A2 is the best one. So to just on here name box, you can just press A2. That's the easiest way. Or but now I think the easiest way to change the font actually, because I've given you so many different ways, but you can click on even just the selected cells. So this is want to change the column names of the font for this. You can just press Control Shift then downwards to select all the values, and then you just change the fonts that you want. So you can just choose whatever that you want. Yeah, so it's an option. Arial, do the same thing for the rest. Rockwell, the same thing. Say A1, G1, G2, G2. Then I'll select everything. That's also some. That way, then just choose Arial. Just 10. Arial 10, 10, 10, 10. Should be good. All right. Yeah, so there are many ways you can do that. Okay, so that should be okay. Make sure the text is aligned correctly. So let's go back. By the way, before we even make sure the text, we need again to document. You just mentioned that applied Arial font and size to entire dataset. Font size maybe 10, maybe 10. All right, the next step was to make sure the text is aligned correctly. You can still select all the text that you have, and then click on align to the left. So select the text that you have, then click on align to the left. That's it. Then make sure the text and background fill are complementary. By the way, again, once you have done that, you just have to document that aligned text to the left 9. Want to ensure that the font size, that the font color is the same. So once you've selected everything, just clicking here, want it to be black. So everything should be black. Yeah. Yeah, so just black. It doesn't happen, that you're able to select that. You can just select the individual columns that you want and change that to black. Yeah, so that's another option. Background color, that's the background fill color. You can select everything. Again, click on fill color. White, sorry, just change that to white. Or not even just white, to no fill. No fill will just ensure you still have the grade lines. So again, once you have done that, you just need to update applied similar background color and font. Okay, so once we have done that, this is a cleaner data set. We're done with number 3. Number 4, make sure that the formatting of the column is consistent. So we can look at this column, it's okay. This column is okay. This column is okay. It's text, text, text. This column is not okay. So we would need to change this to a number. We can just simply click on this and just change that to a number format. Or if still a number. We would need to remove the decimals. We can just click on decrease decimal so that we now just have a simple number. And then what we can do, just checking. Okay, let me just check the others. You can also check the same thing. Class is okay. Fair, too many decimals. It should be just 2 decimals, so just decrease the decimals. Okay, did I decrease it too much? Okay, those are the 2 decimal places we have. Then if this is that makes sense, then it's okay. And for I think everything should be okay, aside from even this should be also okay. No, but now here we would need to ensure that the data is in a better format. So we would need to filter, we would need to replace values. Let's say for no, we need to have it to have the letter N as capital and yes, as capital as well. But before that, let's document the change that we've made. Updated formats for fair and age. For age and fair. So that's okay. Now for this particular case, for survived, we need to update it so that we have the respective yeses or no, and also replace it something like that with something else. So we can simply there are many ways we can achieve this, but I think the easiest way is just to perform a replacement. So it might mean to find the values where, let's say, there is no, and replace that with a capital N and a no, etc. So we can simply use a filter. So you can just click on that column, then or even just click on, let's not even use a filter to get those records to just, you can still actually see, let's use a filter to just see the records that we're working with. So once you clicked on a filter and you clicked on the icon, then click on sort and select, then click on filter, then you click on this bit, you should be able to see the records that the values that are in that particular that particular column. So we're going to replace all these ones, but yeah, so let's first of all I can just simply just remove the filter for now. I don't need the filter. I'll just click on it to disappear, then go to find and select, then replace. What we want is to replace no's within the column that we want to work with. So for example, for the column that we have, that's this survived column. Let's just go back again. Oh, okay, so fine. Select custom filter. Click on that. Just a second. So I think what we can do is, we don't even have to filter, by the way. We don't have to filter. So we're just going to select the column, then click on find and select replace. Then we have NO. We want to replace NO. Replace with no. But now we want to apply this change within this selection. We don't want to apply it within the entire worksheet or workbook. We don't want to apply NO in other instances. It will do something about it. But now automatically it has selected this bit within the selection. Then we can say match case. We want it to match the actual characters, and we want to replace all. So if we say replace all, then you can see the values here have been replaced. The other character, the other bit we want to replace is yes with a capital. Then yes. Okay, so, and also nope. Nope with no. I think it's there are also a few other characters like yes with yes with just a yes. Again, we would have to use filtering to be able to to find okay. So for instance, here we can also check for any other values. So we can just check for whether that we've replaced all the values that are there. There's n and o, there's no nys, and no ys. So let's which values do you remember again? And then no. So you'd have to pause the video and also do this step, and ensure you don't have any. You just only have two values there. There's also no. Okay, there isn't any for that. Let's check for others. There's no, capital, and O, and O, and O. All right, let's filter again. Sorry. There's YS. Yes. So if you check your filter again, you should okay, they're blanks, which is okay. Just means something. Yeah, so and you might be able to answer some research questions again with those blanks that you have. So that's it. So in that column you should be good to go. Yeah, so that's basically it with that documentation. 11, just again update your documentation. Just say it applied or updated. What column was that? Survived column. Survived column to have yes and no values. Yeah, so I think that should be good. Make sure the correct formatting has been applied. I think we are good to go. We have a good data set here. Okay. This is not aligned, so there's some okay. There's some trailing space on this particular column, but I don't think we indicated that yet. We haven't indicated that, but we can still remove the trailing space, or no, well, leading space before the values. And there are many ways to do that. I think the most I'll just demonstrate with one. So sometimes we could want to remove the spaces before, so we can right click and click a new column, insert a new column. So okay, again, this is also a different way of also, we can also add a different column from different ways, but you can add insert column to the left, but that's the option that we have. So click on that. We want a column here, so you can use a trim function. So I'll just equal to trim, then I'll trim this. So I'll trim what's on the right, on the left, and I press enter, and then I can just click on this, double click on this to apply everything on the just to be below. So you can see on Miss Henriette doesn't have any spaces. You can also use a substitute function. That's also another way. Then once you have done this, we can select all the values and then copy And let's go to the first one. And let's say we want B1, so you just click on B2, and replace now the new values with the old ones. I'll select everything, then paste special, then paste values only, and the values that will be there will be updated. So B2, so B2, sorry. So I can always now delete the old one. So that's one way. It's tedious, a bit tedious. Not the best one, but yeah, so there are many ways. Let me just use that particular method for now. Then you can just mention trimmed 12, trimmed V, last name column, so last trimmed spaces in the last name column. So something to note is that the trimming happens both at the beginning and at the end. And you can always do the same thing for all of them if you'd want. All right. I think we had done this. Now, if there's a lot of data, make sure the first rows is frozen, which it is. You can even decide to bold. So I can just highlight, then bold it so that it's a bit easier to see. There's a filter I did not remove. I can always remove the filter by simply selecting filter and deselecting it, and then remove filter. And make sure, okay, we've done this. Make sure each column or row clearly identify the information being presented. Enough space. We've already resized by increasing the width and height. Something else to note is that I showed you the first method for just right clicking and then going to column width, but you could also use another method by, say, if you select a column, I think you should be able to go to format and then auto fit column width. It's going to auto fit that column. But I don't know whether you can select everything. Let me see if you select everything and auto fit column width. It should actually work. So you select everything, then you click on format and auto fit column width. It fits everything properly. So I think that's it about that. Again, for the changes that you make, you should also apply them there as well. For now, simple grammar check. So we're going to make sure that we don't have any grammar. So we can do that by simply using, say, go to the sheet that you want to work with. Then you go to it's view, help. Wait, just a second. Should be, yeah, it should be under review. So you click on spelling, and it's going to give us now suggestions of what we might need to change. Like Philippe, it's in French, that might be okay. You can say no. Windelove. So these are just names. You could just ignore the names that we are working with. Yeah, so but for certain areas where you would want to fix maybe the respective spellings, then you would need to ensure that you do that. But you just click on the one that you want. Like it says Lenic suggestions, it's either Lenic or Denlenic for Denic. So you can just say, I don't know, whatever that makes sense. Like say for simplicity, you can just say, assuming it was Lenic, you just click on change or just, the suggestion that you've been given. Yeah, so that's basically about spelling. So, but again, we're just going to assume that our document is okay. So we won't apply any changes. So if someone else maybe makes changes to the spellings that way, they also need to update the documentation so that once you go through this document, you're able to know, oh, okay, all right, they actually applied this change. Yeah. So, what else? What else? What else? What else do we have? I think that's it. Oh, maybe I might have forgotten. For the missing values, you could always do the same. Like, you could investigate them individually to determine which value should go for that. If you wanted to calculate maybe or impute with mean, you could always click on, calculate mean separately with existing values and then replace that. Same case with medium or mode. Yeah, so for duplicates, there is also a tool for duplicates in data. Is remove duplicates. You can select everything and then click on even clean data. You could also use this tool to be able to clean. It just gives you just suggestions, but it shows we have already cleaned technically. But remove duplicates, then you can be able to see that we have duplicates. Assuming that we want to base duplicates on assuming that all the records in our data set are all the column values are similar, we can just click on the select columns, or you select all the columns, and then can, let's say my data has headers, which it does. Then you say okay, then there are 14 duplicates which have similar values, and 892 records are the ones that are similar. So without this tool, we wouldn't have been able to know. And you can be able to work with now what you have. So yeah, so I think let me just click on duplicates, remove duplicates. Yeah, and it actually removes them, by the way. So we actually now have 892 initially. So if I go previously, if I undo, just trying to look at, because when we used that, not sure why. Oh, so when I undid that, I can see here that I have when I undid that, I can see here I have 899, but when I clicked on data, then remove duplicates, I can be able to see that 899, 892. So I have 892. All right. So I think I have undone maybe a formatting. Yeah, I have undone one change, which is just for formatting. But yeah, generally that's it. That's what is needed. So we have a clean data set that we can share with other stakeholders. I can see that I have undone some formatting for this, but you could always just change that and document it. That's it with regards to data cleaning. But the data cleaning techniques are usually dependent on just whatever analysis that you're doing. Some people might do data cleaning differently than we have done. This is a bit tedious. Normally just use Excel, other tools, but it just helps. So if you're now to do further analysis, you would now need to just create new sheets and maybe have questions and graphs based on now this Titanic. But if you realize maybe there's some data that is wrong somewhere, you can always refer to your documentation to see what we might have done differently, and also refer to the raw data set to just be able to apply, just do your analysis, and just refer to your Titanic data set to figure out what went wrong. Next steps, after data cleaning, we normally just now do analysis. You could just now figure out research questions, or answer now research questions by using various techniques for answering questions. So that's it with regards to this workshop. If you did love this experience and you'd want to see us post more such future videos in the future, or courses still in relation to Excel, be sure to give us a thumbs up and tell us that we're doing a good job. Post more, And also you can always subscribe to be informed when we post such future courses or videos. All the best in your learning journey.